Hey, thanks so much for stopping by. My name's Austin. Today we're taking a look at the Mafex number 239 Spider-Man 2099. This is the comic version. To my knowledge, this is the only version of Spider-Man 2099 that's been released by Mafex, but they're probably just future-proofing it with that comic version subtitle. They'll do that sometimes. Anyways, we've got quite a bit to talk about with this figure. A lot of positives, a lot of accessories, and some negatives that are important to keep an eye on, kind of look out for. You know, Mafex isn't perfect. They do have a few idiosyncrasies in the way that they develop their figures. So I'm going to go ahead and get straight into it. I'm not wanting to waste too much of your time here. We'll go ahead and cover the packaging. Mafex does really well with their packaging. I'm a big fan of the way that they do this kind of comic book style. You know, they got the upper left corner mimicking the way that comic releases will typically have their numbering and the, you know, different design for the character up there. I really like this. On the side, we've got some posing. This logo, I'm not the biggest 2099 aficionado, so this may be a reference to something. I mean, obviously it's got the kind of Punisher style skull that he wears, but I don't know, kind of weird with the Jolly Roger style. Anyways, neat logo. Then on the back, more figure photography, all of the oodles of accessories that he comes with, the swappable backs, which we are definitely going to talk about. Kind of a questionable pose there, but I don't know. Spider-Man does some questionable poses sometimes, even Miguel does. Then really good, really like this. I like how it's not the same on both sides. You know, I'm not really a in-box collector, but for anybody who is, you've got options if you're going to display it on a bookcase, on a shelf. Then something else they do, putting the light in through this little opening, really helps it pop when it's inside. I've already taken it out. Something else I did want to note, I really like this background that they use, having Miguel in the back there. Sometimes they'll do things similar to this. Sometimes it's like a cityscape, which is neat, but it doesn't really come in handy because you can't take it out of the box unless you went to all the trouble of tearing it down and everything. I really like this. This is cool. It represents the figure really well. I mean, you can put them next to each other and you can see the similarities and the differences. Obviously, there's some issue with how they did the coloring. We'll get into that during the aesthetics, which we're actually going to go ahead and get into right now. Jumping into the aesthetics now, this is the way that the figure comes out of box with the accessories chosen. This head sculpt is probably not going to be the one that I ultimately display him with. It's definitely accurate to his appearance in the comics, but to me, to my eye, this just isn't really what I associate Miguel with. But you gotta include it. I mean, it's the comic version, and I'm sure that in the same way that it's not the way I see it, the other head sculpt is probably not the way plenty of people see his mask design. So either way, I mean, in my opinion, there is no argument on how cool this character design is. I mean, it just oozes personality. It's a great redesign of the Spider-Man costume while keeping it very unique. I love these Batman style fins. I love the cape. The way that they did the cape is interesting. We'll talk about it a little more in posability. It's cool. I like it. I think it's better than like a fabric cape, because we've seen it on a few different figures who've kind of done the fabric cape for 2099 Spider-Man, and I don't think it really works that well. Plus, it's just a weird fabric anyways. I love this translucent plastic that they used, and they use this for all of the different accessory parts that are like webbing. So really like that. The ball joint is a little ugly, but it's so small. I mean, it's pretty hard to notice them. And I think if you pose them right, it's not even really going to be visible. I mean, even in just a standard pose looking at the back, it's not there. One thing when talking about aesthetics, with the interchangeable backplates, you know, my closest association with 2099, showing my age, is Shattered Dimensions. I didn't really get into his comics. I wasn't really even old enough to get into them, but I was exactly the right age for Shattered Dimensions. And I loved that and Edge of Time, those interpretations of the character. Obviously, Edge of Time did it a lot better, but anyways. The big thing for me is I know Miguel to not have the cape and to have a spider on the back. That was carried over into a few different costume choices for future games. You know, I'm not saying they had to. I just feel like it's a bit of a missed opportunity when you have these removable back pieces, but all of them include the web cape. None of them, you get 3 replaceable backs and they're all just variations of web capes. To me, that's a bit of a missed opportunity. I think I would have been happy to have at least just an empty back if you're not going to go all the way and get that spider on the back. Something also to note, it's overall kind of a simple design, not a lot of paint needed, but the paint that is on here looks great. I'm not sure if my camera brings it out well enough, but there's a lot of muscle shading to kind of give it depth. I do see people's complaints about the coloring. In person, the blue is pretty dark. I think of Miguel as a darker colored costume. I don't really think of it in that really bright blue. And that might just be me coping, but I think this works, especially when you consider that, comic book Miguel technically I think had a black costume with blue shading. That's an argument that plenty of people love to get involved in. I don't really have a dog in that fight, so I don't know. To me, it's blue, but this is really good. This is to my eye, this is a great color. Maybe it's not perfectly accurate, but I love the way it looks. I love the way it bounces off of the Mafex. I think that it really works for him. But it is important to note, if you get up close on the details here, the reds don't match. They kind of go back and forth on matching. I'm not really sure why, because I think the red is painted all the way through, but this is very clearly a darker red than this, and this is darker than this, and you're just kind of ping-ponging in different shades of red. I was really bummed to see that, and maybe that's just my copy's issue. Maybe that's not across the board. I hope it's not, but yeah, for me, that's kind of a bummer. I really like the way that Mafex does their painting, and that's one of their strong suits, in my opinion. And it's not the worst thing in the world. I'm not gonna cry about it too much. I'm just gonna cry about it right now. But yeah, overall, I think aesthetics on this are really good for what I was looking for. I'm gonna switch up the accessories a little bit to make him more my style of Miguel. Hopefully there will be a custom back that I can get, which, that goes into the whole conversation of should you need a custom part from someone else to perfect an almost $100 figure. To me, they weren't going for the Shattered Dimensions look. They were going for the comic version, and the comic version has a cape. So, I think that's up to you to decide if it's worth it to you. If you really want that look and you don't want to spend the money, then maybe this isn't the right choice. But I think as it is out of the box, it is a really good representation, and I think it looks really good. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the accessories now, and we will open that whole bag of worms, I guess. I don't know where I was going with that. Going into the accessories now, starting off with, in my opinion, the star of the show. This is the half-masked head sculpt and neck sculpt. I love this. I'm so glad they included it. I mean, it's probably not going to be my main display piece, but for different photos, for different poses, it's so cool. I really like it. It conveys the fangs that Miguel has. He's that kind of weird spider hybrid thing, and they really went all out with that, I think, with the accessories, as we're going to see. But yeah, this is a super good accessory to start off with, and I'm really happy with it. Next, the other alternate head sculpt we get is another masked head, which this for me is, this is my style of Miguel, I think. I'm going to just forget the tweezers. We're going to forget the tweezers right now. We're just going to look at it like this because my camera hates the tweezers. So this to me looks exactly like what I picture when I picture Miguel. It's more angry, it's more serious, it's just more angular. They're very similar, but the eyes do make a difference, and I think that this is definitely going to be what I'm displaying him with. I like it a lot. Same painting, same details, really well done. Really like that. Then we'll go ahead and get into the back pieces. So this is the first back piece. Just to show you how it's done, it's not a perfect system, in my opinion. Kind of get his arms out of the way. You pop the back off. You can see all of his gear back there. Then you, I don't know why I'm setting him down. I still need him. You take the new piece. You just do it really cleanly because you're on camera and you know what you're doing. They just sit right back in there, and it works. It's not clean. it'll start to separate right here and right here as you pose the shoulders more. I mean, it's fine. I don't know. I don't know. If we're going to just go ahead and talk about it, I think these ball pegs are basically the same as the ball pegs that the wrists use. So why didn't they just have it be separatable ball pegs? I know that this is 2 and the other 2 have 1, but could you not have just put this on a split that comes out? I mean, maybe it would have been a little bit uglier, but I would argue it would be less ugly than the split that, to be fair, isn't really visible right now, but will be visible with enough time. You know, I don't know. I don't want to gripe too much about it because it's not a deal breaker, but I'm not a huge fan of the way that they decided to do that. But it works. I'm sure plenty of people think it is the best way to do it, and more power to them. You know, that's just my opinion. I really do like the split. For some reason, sometimes he is drawn in the comics to have the cape kind of more spread out. I don't know if it's ever fully split this way, but it definitely has been like that, you know, to give it the effect of flying, which is kind of broken up when you throw it on the back. But who's really showing their figure from the back, right? Kind of a cop-out, but you know what I mean. Anyways, that's the other back plate. Split it up into 2. I like it. It looks all right. I would have liked it better if the wings were the detachable. Well, I guess they're not wings, but you know, if the cape was the detachable part. This is the third one. Very, very similar. If you look at them side by side, I think this is pretty much specifically for like specific poses. Sometimes the web cape looked a little bit wider and like this. I don't know. I'm pretty much always going to use this one. This one looks a little better to me. It's a little bit less obtrusive, but this isn't bad. You know, if you like this look for Miguel, this is another great option. And overall, it's kind of cool that they were able to satisfy all of the different web capes without doing a soft goods one. Soft goods may have been the way to go. I can't say for sure, but I think I'm happy overall with it being this kind of translucent, plasticky finish. This, there's 2 of them. This is the kind of arm webs. I know the point of them. They're to sort of establish the size of the web cape, but it just looks weird. I'm never gonna use these. I just, there's so much breaking up. It's starting to get to a Reveltech level, which we all know how bad their capes were when they were insisting on doing the plastic segmented stuff. I don't know. Maybe for certain poses it'll look good. You know, and actually, you know, maybe I'm turning myself around on it. It looks fine. It's an option, and really the only downside is you get a little tiny peg hole on the back of the bicep, which honestly isn't really even that visible. Well, it's kind of visible. Anyways, you get 2 sets of 2. This is the one set, and this is the other. They're so similar. This one's just a little bit bigger. Options are good. Options are good. I don't really know why we needed 2 of the same thing. I feel like we're getting to a certain point where the head sculpts are awesome, but maybe you could have cut back on some of the plastic use for these web pieces and just given us a different backplate that has the Shattered Dimensions logo, a different head sculpt that shows Miguel's full face. This is the first time Mafex has released a Miguel, and we don't have an unmasked head, but we have 15 different web cape options. And you know, it was the decision that they made. They went with. I'm gonna stop griping about it, but that was something I was thinking when I was playing around with this figure. This is the magnetic boots. Every Mafex Spidey has them. They work exactly the same. I don't trust them. They're too small. This is the wall crawling magnetic hands. Something really cool that they did with this that I wasn't really expecting was the weird grippy claw things that Miguel has. It's really cool. I like that they did it. It's basically a brand new sculpt. You know, I mean, they had to sculpt in the arrows, and then they sculpted in these extra little nubs. They're not really visible on this because, you know, they're supposed to be flattened against the fridge, I guess, wherever you're planning on putting it. Next, we have very expressive hands, kind of more maybe jumping, not really clawing, but yeah, kind of more a little bit more gesturing than just straight up relaxed, but you can really see the claws on that. Super cool. I like that a lot. We're going to look at the Marvel Legends version during comparisons, and I think this knocks it out of the park with how his claws should look. I just love it. I can't get enough of it. I know it's such a small thing, but to me, it's really cool. Then we get wall crawlers with no magnetic features. The adhesion is a little bit different on these. I almost wonder, let's just look at them side by side and see. Are these nubs any more visible? I think they are. I think the wall crawling stabby bits, I don't know why I can't think of the word. I guess they're just claws. I don't know. They're a little bit more, splayed out, I guess. But yeah, really good wall crawling hands. These are kind of optional wall crawling or kind of clawing hands. I think they're probably more so for clawing or even web swinging. I mean, Miguel has a lot of different uses for, splayed out gesturing hands. He does a lot of open hand stuff. Really like these. You're going to see with each one of these, the claws are visible on all of them. So yeah, these are good. A lot of different options for them. Quick note, in case you didn't know, I think everybody knows, Miguel doesn't do the thwip. He just shoots it out of the back of his hand like Venom or Black Suit Spider-Man. So that's something that we're not going to see. There's no thwipping hands, but you can kind of use, if you want a more relaxed swing, you can use this. If you want a more expressive, energetic, fast-paced swing, you can use one of the more splayed out gesturing hands. So really like that. These are the relaxed hands. The claws are still visible. Really good sculpt. Mafex is pretty much doing the same typical stuff that they do. I'm not really bothered by it. I think they're a good set of hands. I don't think there's too much more you can do. Here's the web holding ones. There's actually no change on these, no visible claws, which is fine. I don't think his claws would really be used when holding onto webs. Then we get the thing that everybody likes to use for Nazi salutes. I don't know if everybody does that. I've seen it a couple times. It's super funny and really original. No one's ever thought of it before. Anyways, I think these are supposed to be more for like flying or diving, or I guess maybe Miguel took Krav Maga and he likes to do karate chops. I don't know. They're cool. I like them. They're definitely different. I don't think we've seen that from a different Spider-Man before. So yeah, I like it. Then for more reuse, we've got short and long shooting webs, still using the same ring design. I think the ring design works just fine. It doesn't really bother me. I know some people don't really like it. And then you got web holding or web swinging web. I like these. They're good. I really like the color that they're cast in. It's kind of the same color as the web cape. So I'm really happy with these. And yeah, they look really good. I think Mafex could probably have included some of the more spirally webs that we saw with like the Mafex Scarlet Spider release. But overall, I'm happy with the set of accessories for this guy. And yeah, we'll go ahead and get on to articulation and move on, see how this guy can do. I don't know what I'm saying. All right, articulation. All right, I think I've been talking about too many Spider-Men lately or something. I'm losing descriptors for these characters, but it's my own fault. I buy too many of them. Anyways, articulation segment. So head, we've got typical Mafex double ball peg. Great way to do the neck. It goes back that far. Wow. Oh my goodness. It just keeps going. Oh, that's why it keeps going, because it's splitting the back. So in theory, you could get this crazy far if you're okay with separating the back, but I'm not going to count that because that's just a manufacturing choice that I don't even really agree with. So yeah, even without that, that's super good range. I mean, that's pretty much as much as you're going to need from this figure, from this character. So yeah, that's good. Then we get to the chest section. Crouches forward about that far. My camera really doesn't like this color. It's not picking it up super well. I don't know. I'm going to need to work on my lighting. Sorry, y'all. Crouches forward that far. Crouches back. Just engaging the diaphragm super far without splitting. Really good. Really, really like that. Covering these, they're the typical kind of wrists. They can swivel around. They can swing, pivot in and out. Really like that. Really good. It's the same for the other ones. They just have that same kind of design. Then you got your waist joint, really good forward, really solid back. I mean, putting it all together, this guy is, oh man, he wants to split, which is unfortunate, but you know, there's a little bit of bumpiness going on, but it looks really good, and it's very, very posable. So really good, really happy with that. Then we got typical Mafex style butterfly joints. They go back, not super far, but a little bit. You get a little bit of range there. And forward, they go forward really well. So you want to do a punching pose or a expressive swing, you got options there. That's going to get it done for you. Then bicep, you can, 360 degrees, goes out that high, over 90. That's good enough. Bicep swivel. It's a little bit stiff out of the package, but better than loose, right? Then you got your elbow joint. Perfect. Can't get any better than that. You got to be careful with these spikes. They're, I don't know, I'm a little bit afraid of breaking them off or bending them, but anyways, that's just the nature of action figures, right? Waist, or why am I, it's wrist. I know they're similar words, but goodness gracious. Okay. Typical wrist balls. Depending on how you angle it, you can go side to side, in and out. You can do anything that you need the wrists to do. Really like the way that they do those. It's kind of just an import style wrist joint, so really happy with that. Then we go down to the legs. You can do the incredibly over the top scissor kick. Really, really good. Mafex used their more rubbery crotch piece that they're using now. So happy with this. I would even probably buy, because I spend too much money, a new comic version Amazing Spider-Man just for this waist. It's just perfect. I'm so happy with the enhanced range you get out of it. You get more back as well, especially with the drop down. It stretches. It's just perfect. Really glad that they've started doing this, and I hope that they stick with it. Speaking of drop down, you can get, well, I guess that's how you get that range, is with that drop down. So it looks ugly, but fortunately, just suck it right back up. And you got not a thigh cut, but the thigh rotation that you get with the Mafex. That's really solid. It's probably good enough. I kind of prefer this to a thigh cut, I think. I find myself not really missing the thigh cut, and it doesn't break up the sculpt this way. So yeah, happy with that. Down to the knees, we go. Oh, pretty standard. This is all, you've seen it before. This is why I'm not really spending too much time on it, or trying not to. This is very standard Spider-Man Mafex articulation. The ankle pegs are exactly the same. You can swivel, front-facing pin for rocker, all the good stuff. Everything you need to get out of this Spider-Man, you're going to get. And then the kind of ugly but effective toe joint. It's a little bit loose, but if you're relying on a toe joint for posing, you probably want to use a figure stand, which actually is included with the Mafex. I probably should have covered that in the accessories, but Mafex always includes figure stands, and I love them. They're my preferred stand, and I just use them for everything. And I really appreciate it. A lot of companies don't really do that anymore, except for Mafex and Mezco. So yeah, articulation on this guy, as expected, is pretty dang near perfect. Probably the worst thing about it is this back plate just kind of wanting to separate. But honestly, if it doesn't bother you, it kind of helps the articulation to an extent. So I could even see using that as a positive if you wanted to. I'm not going to count it as a positive because I don't really want to keep separating my plastic pieces over and over again. But yeah, it adds some articulation. So really happy with the articulation. Now we're going to go ahead and jump into the comparisons. For a bit of a scale comparison between the Mafex line and the Marvel Legends line, this is the Scarlet Spider from each respective line. Real quick, third-party hoodie and third-party head sculpt from File Rule Store. That's why they look a little bit different, but really like those. They really elevate both figures in my opinion. But yeah, scaling is as expected. He scales with Scarlet Spider on the Mafex line really well because they are basically exactly the same sculpt, at least size-wise. And then with Marvel Legends, a little bit small, but you can definitely pose that out. Putting them side by side, you see just how absolutely jacked the Renew Your Vows body is. I don't know if that really works for me for Spider-Man. I really like the more lithe, acrobatic kind of build, but that's a really great figure to be to be fair. But anyways, this is how they look together. I think they look really well. Also, quick aside, this is the kind of web accessory I'm talking about that would have been nice to see with this release. A little bit more of that 90s flair, you know, to give you some more options. Kind of looks like he's walking a dog with his, but anyways. So yeah, next we have some more Marvel Legends. This isn't the retro card 2099 Spider-Man. I'm not sure where he came out of. Actually, he might be the retro card. I don't know. Anyways, he's on the Pizza Spidey body. We all know this guy. There's 2 releases of him. One's better. I have the worst one. And he is soon to be put in storage probably because this guy is considerably better by all metrics. First and foremost, those are Carnage's hands. That's why they look so incredibly weird. He looks like a weird vampire freaky monster guy. He doesn't look like Miguel. Those are a lot more like what I would want from Miguel's claws. They're a little bit more subdued. He can actually look like a normal man and not a weird freak like that. I don't know, maybe that's accurate to some version of Miguel, but whenever I see them, they bother me. They're huge. Then this is the Amazon 5-pack Symbiote Spider-Man from the Ultimate series. This is kind of that teenager Spider-Man, not the Amazing Fantasy or anything, but this is your Miles Morales. If you wanted to see how he scales with a shorter Spider-Man, that's your guy. I really like how these look together, honestly. And that brings us to the next comparison, the Shattered Dimensions lineup. This is really cool. I'm really liking how these guys look together. I didn't bring out any of my Mafex Spider-Man. I probably should have, but I was being kind of lazy and I don't really get a lot of use out of this Renew Your Vows Spidey, but I really love this custom head sculpt, also from Fa Rule Store. I'm not going to stop shilling for him. I'm not sponsored, but I just love all of his stuff. He makes really great head sculpts that elevate all the figures that I've put them on. But yeah, this is how they look all together. I really like all of them. I mean, it's just very nostalgic. I think they all encapsulate their designs really well. And to be fair, I'm not going to be using this for my Shattered Dimensions display. I'm going to see if we can get him to actually stand and not look stupid. I'm going to be using the Ultimate Netman Black. Okay, there we go. Hopefully he's going to stay up. The scaling is a little bit different between the Amazon 5-pack and this Ultimate Netman, but the design is just so much better, so much more in line with what he looks like in the game. If anybody else is a fan of that game, hopefully you can see how cool this is as much as I can. Hopefully this isn't just a complete waste of time for you. But anyways, I really like these guys and I'm very excited to put them in my display all together. It's going to look great. So that is all I have for comparisons, and now we'll go ahead and get into the conclusion. Wrapping up my review on the Mafex number 239 Spider-Man 2099 comic version. I really like this release. In fact, in getting it into this pose to kind of mimic that first appearance, I have kind of come around on the bicep web wings as well. They're still not perfect, but it is true that he does have a wider web cape in certain poses. So it helps to kind of complete the look. It helps to widen out the effect. And yeah, I think the more that you work with it and the more you play around with it, you're probably going to come to the same conclusion that it's better to have them just for a few niche poses. You know, I still would have really liked an unmasked head, maybe some more 90s spaghetti webbing options, but also Miguel doesn't have as much of a spaghetti web style as we see on other versions of Spider-Man. So it's not the end of the world. I'm sure that there's going to be people who feel like it was a big miss to not include an unmasked head. I find myself in that camp a little bit more than not, but I still really like what we got from this guy. The posing is great. That rubber crotch piece that they're using, I hope that they stick with it. I hope that they maybe rethink their removable backplate option. It just doesn't work great. I think the Nightwing did the same thing, and I think it kind of had this similar issue of it separating. So it's not my favorite way of this implementation, but it works. It's not the end of the world. Overall, I'm a big fan. I said in my G-Quux review, which I recorded out of order, that I wanted to start doing a kind of grading system for these releases across the board. I'm going to put it up on the screen to give a visual, but basically it goes first grade, high grade, real grade, master grade, and then perfect grade. And that goes from I don't recommend this unless it's on a deep clearance, all the way to this is a master class of design. You know, it reinvents the mold kind of in whatever its respective position is. It is a standout release. For this one, I'm definitely not going perfect grade. I'm gonna go real grade on this. I think I would feel more inclined to go master grade if they had widened out the options, you know, maybe cut back on some of the web wings and web capes and given us some other things to work with for our poses, especially when you're dealing with a new Spider-Man. You know, they've never released a Miguel before. There are no options for unmasked Miguel head sculpts. So, at least from Mafex, to be specific. So, you know, it would have been nice, instead of all of these optional wings and webs and capes and all this stuff, maybe we could get some more options. But yeah, I think that's fair. I think real grade is right down the middle. This is a good pickup, especially if you're a fan of the character. I'm very happy with it. I'm not going to complain too much, especially once it's actually in my collection and up on the shelf. So I really like this. What do you guys think? Do you feel like this is a good release? Do you feel like this is on par with what Mafex is doing, or maybe a little bit lackluster? Are you looking forward to maybe a non-comic version, maybe something a little bit more modern or something from Mafex? But yeah, let me know anything you're interested in. For future releases, I'm planning on reviewing the McFarlane Toys Superman Silver Age, the Ultimate not Spider-Man, I'm not doing another Spider-Man for a while, the Ultimate Iron Man from that weird comic wave that Marvel Legends is doing, and hopefully some more Gundam stuff. You know, they take a little bit longer to build and get reviews out for. But yeah, if there's anything you guys are interested in me doing reviews for, let me know. I'd be happy to widen out and do whatever y'all find interesting. So, all right, thanks for stopping by, and I hope you have a good one.